Okay, hello and welcome to the very first of hopefully many Scrolls casts. In today's Scrollcast, we are going to discuss the last week and, of course, the future of Scrolls, what will be coming up in 2015 and beyond. I would like to thank my sponsors, Pepsi and Dorito. And yeah, let's get right down to it. As some of you might know, we just finished an ESL Christmas Part 2 tournament. This tournament decided who would be the players going on to the final cup thing, I guess, that you can win actual prizes from. I believe you can win a headset from Plantronic, which is worth like $70, which is pretty neat. And it seems that La Hopa won the tournament. I'm not sure though, so I'm just gonna find whatever it was that Ice Cream posted. Courtesy of the roastedbeanpotion.com. It's a pretty neat site, so do check it out. Okay, so yeah, for the ESL Cup we have Chief Bromden, Guido Fubini, Liger, Kauser, Antirad, Lahupa, the Raider 27, Squarplut, and that's it, I think. And they will all be competing for the headset that I mentioned. Okay. So yeah, I guess that's all that happened this week. It was last week that Scrolls launched. And yeah, we all know that the launch didn't go that very well. It was pretty poorly covered. We only saw 2 reviews from major outlets. I made a review, so that makes for 3 total reviews, I guess. But other than that, it was pretty lukewarm. And part of the reason is because the developers couldn't get the iOS version through. So they didn't want to waste all their advertising money or generate launch hype and all that nonsense when they couldn't have their biggest platform out in time for Christmas. So this felt more like a soft launch that I guess is pretty neat. If you guys want to join in on this little Scrolls cast, you're more than welcome to do so. But it seems that no one was interested, so that's why I'm holding this solo. I would like to stress that this is just a trial run, and the Scrolls cast in the future will be a lot more structured, organized, and actually have other people which I can discuss these topics with. So for now, I guess I will just discuss with you guys in the chat. Well, Overlord, do you have Skype? Let me see. Yes, robots are welcome, Danatron. Let me see if I have you. Okay, I'm gonna have to create a new to Overlord. What's your name, Overlord? Where the hell are you? I'm not sure I can find you, though, Overlord. Go to the chat on Scrolls Guide and send me your Hotmail. Ludwig. Nope, you're not in my list. Alright, I'll add you. I see the Overlord. Hello. And send. Okay, I guess we're gonna be joined up by another rather prominent community contributor in the Scrolls community. There he is. Where's that goddamn border? Okay. Let's move this thing over there. And let's add the Overlord. All right.
Hello.
Can you hear me, the Overlord?
Yes. I'm not sure if my webcam is on.
It's not on yet, I think. But
no. I'm.
That's fine. I'll set these things up while you get that fixed.
Well, it's plugged in, so I'm not sure why it's not working. What the hell? Ah.
Alright, can you guys in the chat hear the Overlord?
They can probably hear me rather low. My microphone is always low for whatever reason.
It sounds fine to me, so it should be fine to them.
Well, it's always fine in the Skype, but every time I check it on the VODs and so on, I'm always low for whatever reason. But we see what they say. I'm not sure what's wrong with my web camera. It should be working, but it ain't. How tragic.
That's fine, we'll just have you with audio. So yeah, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am the Overlord. I'm addicted to order, and that's for good and bad. And I, for the moment, run ESL quite a lot, and I'm among the badgers trying to make myself known on the ladder.
Okay, that sounds good. And yes, so you were actually taking part of the ESL Cup today, weren't you?
Yes.
And I think you played a late game order deck, is that correct?
Yes, I played the version where you have more, there's like two versions at the moment. One where you go more of a card draw and stall, and one that is more creature focused. And I run the creature focused one today.
I like to call the card drawing version the cancer order deck, because it's quite disgusting.
Well, I would not call it that. I don't think cancer is really relevant to that deck, but alright.
Yeah, but I mean, seeing as you were part of the ESL Cup, you have a good chance to meet face off against other players, and there's a lot of people who think that the meta has recently really been shook up by the waypoints and then recent balance changes. In your experience, do you think that we are at a more even playing field with different deck archetypes?
Depends on what period we are talking about. I would say it was a little bit better when it came to a period we had in Rebellion. The waypoint here, it's still good. We have a bit of variety. I cannot speak English. A bit of different decks going on, and we still have some issues. I would say prominently it's that I think Decay may need a little help at the moment. So it's not ideal at the moment.
Yeah, I'm getting that same feeling. Decay at the moment, it's too slow. It's not that Decay has become worse, it's just that the other decks have got so much better thanks to the recent waypoint scrolls, like the Arbalest year and so on.
Well, Decay has become worse because of the nerfs and so on. But it's not that Decay is not viable. It's just that it's like when they just took their massive nerf hammer and smashed Order. It was like, okay, so what do we play now? And people are trying to still find that a bit what they are supposed to play. Until they find what they're supposed to play, it looks rather weak, that faction.
I mean, recently they have reverted some of those nerfs. For example, Brain Lies is back to 3 decay.
Yeah,
and,
but I would say Decay was in a rather fine state before the whole Bloodline taint nerf. It's the patch with the Bloodline taint nerf that pretty much it made the faction a bit lost what they want to prominently play now. Like you can still play like those undead decks and the Watcher Geddon decks, but it's not really clear what is the go-to deck in the Decay.
Yeah, that thing is a big problem. Because the more competitive players don't play it as much, other players in the player base don't really know what to do, because a lot of players, they look upon the good players. They see what decks they are playing. They go to Scroller.com and look at the upvoted deck lists, and then they just kind of copy them. But recently, I mean, except for this tournament, people haven't really been playing Decay at a high competitive level, I think.
Was Decay played this tournament?
It was actually by Magpie Man, I think.
Yeah, I think I cashed one game or so by it. I didn't spectate much as I participated, but yeah, I suppose. And I always, for whatever reason, people love Undead Decay. I guess they just find that deck fun to play.
It is a really fun deck. It's just so unreliable. That's the problem.
Maybe that's what makes it fun, but
could be.
Yeah, I guess so. All I know is that when it comes to the whole Decay thing, PewQ, who is also a good player in Scrolls, he played Decay on ladder, and it was like nothing had happened. He just kept on smashing people with it. So,
yeah.
But as far as I know, PewQ never loads up his decks on Scrolly or anything like that. So you cannot really check what his decks is. But you just have to face him and try to analyze.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to start playing, because that's what we kind of need, to know what the top tier players are playing, so that we can kind of copy them and figure out what does work in the current meta.
Well, what I prominently seen, if we're gonna stick to Decay, is the Watcher one, where you kind of play with Watcher of some kind, and the whole Undead one. Those are like the two they play. If there's some other kinds, I don't face it that often.
Yeah, and I think that's enough for the ESL discussion.
Was that the ESL discussion?
Yes.
That felt like a Decay discussion.
Well, I want to be pretty short and succinct. I know that if we're going to continue talking about ESL and meta, we're going to spend an hour just talking about that.
Just say that you are not really interested to talk about the ESL.
I'm not really, to be honest with you.
Alright, let's talk what you want to talk about.
Right. Well, one big thing is the launch of Scrolls. And the way,
launch of Scrolls.
Yeah, the way it was kind of lackluster. It feels to me like it crept up out of nowhere. Like, I didn't see the date for the launch actually announced until the very day that it was launched.
Well, that's because that is how it went.
Yeah.
They were like, this is pretty much how they went with it. They said, well, somewhere at the end of this month, hopefully, it was at the start of the next month. So will we have Scrolls released? It will be released when it's done, and then one day it's like, it's done. Now it's released.
Yeah,
But let's keep it low because we don't we don't have the what is it called, the iPad, I believe.
exactly. The
We
iOS
don't have the
version.
iPad version fixed yet, so we keep it a bit low. So my whole thing is just that, well, isn't it best to release it in January then?
Yeah. Do you have an iPad?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't see myself playing on a tablet actually. I like playing on a phone because it is so much more portable, but I only play Gagro decks, and those are the decks where you don't have to read the scrolls very much, and you can just put units down and attack. But it feels more like a PC game. It's too complex to properly play a longer game on a tablet, I think.
Well, I don't have experience in that, so I cannot say. The only thing I can really say of what I've seen is that tablet seems quite tricky when it comes to reading the text. The text don't. Uh, it's a bit small,
Yeah.
the tablet. That's all. That's all my comments on it. I haven't tested on the tablet.
All right. Well, it's very appreciated. Uh,
You're welcome.
well, let's move on to the future.
Okay.
What are your expectations for 2015 in Scrolls?
My hopes or my expectations?
Both.
All right. My expectations. I am expecting that we're gonna do the big market thing in January, and we're gonna get some more players. But because of some issues in the game that makes players. Although before I say those issues, like the game in of itself is not very. Unless we change the game on a big fundamental level, so it becomes a totally different game. It's not appealing to the big crowd.
No, it isn't.
It's a very. It's a bit of a niche game, and but even then, we have some issues to make people want to stay and play around. So we're probably gonna have a big influx of players if we are lucky. Maybe we get 3K players in January. I don't think so.
I
But
doubt it.
maybe we get 3K players, and then among those 3K, I bet maybe in the long run, maybe 300 will stay. The rest will go. And how it will pan out, it very much depends on how Mojang plan to do, like how much of a priority is the campaign, when will
Yeah.
the campaign come, and so on, or will the next set be before the campaign, and so on.
Do you actually
Um,
think the campaign will matter in the long term? Because it seems like a
the,
thing where you just finish it.
the
Yeah.
campaign the campaign matters a lot for when you introduce the players, and as we are doing this in the wrong order, if you ask me, that we are first introducing the players to the game and then introducing the campaign won't really have big of an effect.
Yeah.
But rather have it sooner than later. And so I am expecting that maybe we can keep it around 400 to 500 concurrent player over, which will say online at the same time, over the course of the next year. My hope is that we can be more around 1,000. That
Yeah,
we can reach 1,000.
I think 1,000 is actually a rather realistic goal because, like you said, it isn't really a sort of game that will appeal to a large audience. You still got games like Magic the Gathering and its various kind of online digital game variants like Duel of the Planeswalkers, and those games are probably more complex than Scrolls, but they still have a lot of people playing them on a regular basis. So I think the goal of the developer team, at least it should be their goal, is to kind of build this kind of audience and just make sure they stay, and then just gradually expand it.
Yeah, that's the plan. The issue is if the net growth is negative over the course of time. and that we will just have to see. When it comes to Magic the Gathering, it's kind of been around for quite a while and had a monopoly on the whole genre, so to
Yeah, I would
speak.
like
So
to know
it
what it
had
was
a head.
like in the beginning, the very first year for Magic.
Yeah, I bet it was rather poor. I don't think people found Magic and it just exploded in popularity. Like, for as long as I know, I have honestly never heard about Magic existing until later in my years. That it was a thing.
Yeah,
If it was like something really popular, I think I would at least have heard someone from my school or something play it. So I don't think it really had a big boom start, but it has grown over the years. It has existed.
well, that's pretty much your expectations for next year. What about your hopes? What do you personally like to see the most?
Well, my hopes was 1,000 concurrent players.
But in terms of the game, features.
Features. Well, I like to at least see this campaign come at some point. Yes, I want it. I want it to exist before whenever I decide to stop with this game. If it is in 1 year or 20 years, I don't know. But I want to see a campaign before that.
Yeah,
uh, Beside that, there's nothing big per se. There's like details here and there where I like them to flesh out some of the tutorials and stuff like that.
well, I think they've been pretty good actually, just packing the current modes with more content. Like the tutorials when they were first released were pretty poor. It was just the one, I think.
I'm not sure it could be classified as a tutorial.
Yeah,
It
it was
it
pretty awful.
it was like I don't know. Yeah.
And now there's
It-
like 10 of them.
yeah, I would say it's two of them. The two first is really good, but they really only covering the basics. It's like you're supposed to play a strategy game, and then you have, okay, so this is how you click the unit, and this is how you move the unit, and this is how you shoot with the unit.
Yeah.
You're ready to go, but no, you're not ready to go. You need to learn how to build a structure and stuff. And that is sort of what I hope the other tutorials were meant to cover, and they do cover it, but man, they cover it poorly. Like, for example, when I tested the lingering tutorial, I didn't draw a single lingering card,
Yeah.
man.
They should have
Like,
stacked the deck in a way so that you are guaranteed to draw lingering on turn 3 or 4.
yeah, I mean, couldn't they do like something like with the first two tutorial
I
that
think they are.
they like force you to draw certain scrolls or something?
And they
Yeah.
force you to move in special ways. Like, I don't think they put as much time in the later tutorials. That was more like a last minute thing they wanted to get in before the game launched.
Yeah, and I guess it's like, look, this is better than nothing. I take it, but it's kind of crappy.
It is crap. And speaking of that, what do you dislike about scrolls?
What I dislike about Scrolls,
Yeah. I'm running out of
honestly,
topic ideas here.
what I dislike is actually, I think the game would be much more attractive if they put in some more of those minor details, and those be the fact that many of the spells and for a long time within it was very generic sounds as well. There's a lack of that. With why is a thunder surge so much cooler than like a sudden eruption?
Yeah.
And that is because we have the thunder surge doing this electricity thing all over the field. That's what makes it cool. And then we have something like burn doing that fire thing. That's what makes it cool. And there's so much stuff that don't have this. It's like this whole minor details that makes it more lively and fun. It only covers like 20% of the scrolls or something. And that I wish there were more of that, because that is stuff that really makes people want to play more. They want to see more cool stuff. And when the stuff is not cool, they lose some of that will to go back and play some more.
Have you seen the Voice the Champion project by David Slane?
Yeah, I've seen that and the previous one.
And that is sort of thing that I think would enhance the gameplay, would make the units feel more memorable, give that sort of impact that it has when you play a legendary in Hearthstone.
Yeah, well, to be fair, in that case, you should do it like Hearthstone, so to speak, that they only really make a sound when they like come into play. They
Yeah, I
don't
think that
have
would be
it.
fine. Just that.
Like we should not really do it like David Slane is doing with how they make a sound when they attack and stuff.
Yeah,
That will
there's no need for that.
that will become really repetitive over a while.
But I think, yeah, something where they come into play, you have a little effect playing, an audio clip, and then when they die, you have this different kind of effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you are listening to this, Carnalizer or Mons, there's an idea for you. Straight from the Overlord, so blame him if it's not something you like.
By the way, if I do have to give them some credit for something, which I do, is just that those are not really memorized. Is that I have 3 really big worries before the launch, and I do give them credit that they addressed all 3. Although one did they do really excellent, a second they did semi-optimal, and the third was rather poorly, but still addressed. And the first one was how we had no good way to spend gold, so I'm really happy they made the black market. The black market saved a lot of that issue.
Yeah.
And now we actually have a proper way to spend gold. Because that would be a real that I was fearing a lot, that we would just have a bunch of people in the trade channels screaming in the trade chats as it has always been, and nothing really good happening. So I'm happy for that. Then we had the whole introduction and retention. Retention, well, we got the daily trials and people enjoy them. So
I think they are some of the kind of best features that Mojang has added, actually. They feel like unique. It doesn't feel like they are aping after other TCGs. Like a lot of players were asking for daily quests and things like that. And I'm happier they went with daily trials.
Yeah, so I think more could have been done, but these are definitely really good. So I'm happy for those existing there. And then we had the whole introduction thing, and that they made the tutorials better and did some text on places like store that it says text what is the store and so on. So they addressed it at least.
Yeah.
But people still won't really learn the game very well when they come, and there's no sense of direction. Like they come in, they do maybe the tutorial, and then what's the next step? Like that's one of the very common question we get on the forums, like how should I start with this? Like that is one of those things we always have to answer. Well, we suggest you start with trials and blah 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 and so on.
And that should really be in the game, like it should say, try some trials now, try some blah blah blah.
Yeah, yes, I said so before to them, just do some kind of pop-up, man. Like, you're now ready to try on some trials or something like that. I don't know.
I did a little mock-up of, you know that first guy you see in the first trial? I did post to Reddit a mock-up in which he would show you around.
I remember when you did that.
And I think you need something more hands-on like that. I'm gonna link it to the chat right now. And we also have a question here from the chat by Creeping Ninja. He asks, do you think Mojang should have delayed release until the iPad version was ready?
Yes. Well, yes, because that's when they plan to do their big whole marketing thing. I think they should have delayed release until they wanted to do their big whole marketing thing. That is my answer to it. And they plan to do it with the iPad. So, therefore, yes.
Definitely. And let's see. Well, that's all I had to discuss, actually.
That's all you had.
That's all I had. So yeah, do you have anything on your mind? You want to get off your chest?
Get off my chest.
Yes.
We're gonna do some ranting.
We can rant.
No. I do not. I will just say that I think people are I think some people are overall just having a bit too high expectations when it comes to what Scroll is supposed
Definitely.
to achieve. But I will not deny that there has been some mistakes and so on from Mojang. But also something I often feel is, look, we are not going to improve the game by keep on saying how we need to rewind time and do things differently. Done is done. Release has happened and it wasn't perfect. So how should we fix this instead of talking how much about the release wasn't perfect and so on. And sometimes I don't always agree with Mojang and their decisions, but sometimes you just have to realize that Mojang they have some kind of vision or are totally like they know this is what they want to do, and I feel it's more productive often to just help them make what they want to do as good as
Definitely.
possible
I think,
instead of telling them no, you should do
yeah,
something
I think
else.
part of the problem is we don't know what that vision is. Like a lot of times we keep asking them, what do you want out of this card? Or what do you want out of this kind of resource or this mode? And we kind of
Yes,
have to guess their intentions in order to give them suggestions that can help them improve.
absolutely. And that is something I often criticize them for. I've told them several times it's really difficult to give you people feedback when we're not really sure what you want. So, so that is why you often see just a bunch of brainstorm going on the forums with all kinds of crazy ideas.
Yeah,
But
I
maybe that,
mean, guilty as charged. I will just put out as much as possible because I don't know what Mojang wants. So I figured the more feedback I give them, the better.
yeah, as long it's not yelling, they do read and listen. I'm surprised how much Mons seems to read my mails I sent him. I always feel like my mails are way too long, man.
I guess
Why
you're the
is it?
top ranked player that they are bringing up on the streams that keep pestering the developers.
Oh yeah. By the way, people, you need to stop make people believe that I am some kind of godly order player. I am not. It's just that I always play order, and whenever no one else is playing order, it looks like I'm a great order player. It's just that no one else is
I
playing.
think you're the face of order players, kinda. You're like their mascot.
Maybe, but just look like this is how it often goes. Like you look at the ladder. As soon as someone like Nick Dean or Antirad now take some order seriously and start to play it, they just race
Yeah,
away. It's because they are very good players. I am a
that
good
is
player, but
true.
I'm not on
I
their
mean,
level.
you're kind of like Ghost Bomb, I think. Like you're players who stick to that resource, regardless of it getting nerfs or buffs. Like I don't think I've ever seen you play anything but order.
Well, I played some Structure Energy when I got really pissed off of all those poison counters. I was like, I'm sick and tired of all these poison curse counters. I'm gonna do some structures now.
Yeah,
And
we hate you for that. Like that was a disgusting deck type. It's a sad time that we should
yeah,
forget about.
as if I invented it.
No, it was actually Zark, I think. So yeah, Zark
So,
came up with a disgusting energy structure deck, more or less, and Kradstash is now popularizing the disgusting Cancer Order deck. So
uh,
two misses from Strategic Angel. Sorry about that, guys.
right. I'm not actually sure where that deck really originally came from. Like, sure, first time I saw it, it was from when I faced against Kradstash, but I I've I I also seen at the same time Owl Sage. He's been tinkering around that for a while. The thing with Owl Sage, he's probably not very well known.
Yeah, I mean that
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
contributes.
yeah. That, and he is one of those guys that he just tests a bunch of ideas and he never really succeed with any of them. Uh, but he has a lot of interesting ideas, and he's one of those I often bunch ideas with. I brainstorm with him quite a lot. But yeah, anyway, I don't have any specific topics.
Well, there is another thing that's pretty recent, the Golden Bunnies Award.
Oh yeah, that.
It's basically something from Billy, from the Rats and Bunnies Guild.
I found it a bit funny how it was like the Golden Bunny Award. I was
Yeah.
like, what is the award? Nothing. Okay.
Well,
Damn it,
I mean,
no.
to be fair, I do a similar thing with a weekly design contest. There's 0 awards in it for people, but we're still up to like 14 or 15
Well,
of those.
you don't say you have never claimed it was an award. Just that it's a contest.
Yeah, that's true. I
Well,
would recommend people to take part of that, by the way, because we have developers checking in and even contributing and submitting entries, so they are sure to read whatever card ideas you come up with.
Yeah. I don't know. No, I might contribute.
That'd be
one day.
great. I think you've done it once before.
Yeah, I think so. It's just that I barely have time playing Scrolls these days. I mostly just play these ESL ones, most because I have to be there
Yeah.
and to govern the whole thing.
Like, I've gotten bored of the ESL tournaments. Like, it's the same thing over and over again. Best of 1 in, like, up to quarterfinals, and it's best of 3, and I want to see, like, more unique formats. Like, you might remember some time ago when people were doing the double deck tournaments, or the, these, different sort of tournament formats. I think Cubes is a really interesting format where you have to pick a deck that they had constructed already.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just that ESL, I believe it's made to be a competitive format. And it's not that the other ones is not competitive, it's just that ESL kind of choose to do as the game takes so long to play and so on, we can't really have, if we're gonna have like a long and but competitive format for a day, we have to do something like this Scrolls Guide Cup we had, if it was
Yeah.
last week, and that like it took
That is too much, I think.
that took a really damn long. So what we do, I say we, but it's basically me. What I do is that we gather points through six cups, and then we just take the points together, and then we get the best average participant. It basically this whole what is called that Swiss format. It's basically you do a Swiss format in a sense, but over the course of 6 weeks, and then you have the playoff. And I mean, we could always try some kind of different format, but I'm not sure exactly what.
I think the double deck format, it has potential, because you can play it from the very start, like in the rounds 16, 32 things.
The thing with double deck format is that it demands preparation. I need people to send send the decks into me and stuff, and like, dude, as we had today, I'm not gonna check 46 people's decks, okay?
I know, but it would be neat if that was kinda introduced somehow into the game, to take off the workload from the tournament organizers. If you could create tournaments in-game, and set rules and things like that.
That I agree on. I'm all for having some kind of in-game tournament support system.
I believe actually there was a grayed out menu button.
Oh yeah, that was a massive tease for a long time.
Yes, it was, and then it became Judgment.
It was there, like, here we're gonna have the tournament in the future, and then, no, it's Judgment now, but okay.
So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that back again.
No, I don't mind. I will not mind that either.
Alright. Other than that, what's been going on Scrolls is... Well, there's a new podcast, the Scrollscast, which you're on right now.
Sweet.
We are basically planning on... I say we, but it's just me.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, like I am just planning on making this a rather random kind of community geared podcast. Like this isn't a Strategic Angel podcast. We actually have our own podcast called the Wingscast, but we haven't actually done anything. And this will
I
be
was
more.
about to say, I think I've seen, only thing I've seen from Wings is like that Wings tournament.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be like a private podcast.
What's the point in that?
We have a lot of members. I think we have close to 30 members, so we kind of becoming our own little community. But yeah, this thing would be
Some kind of sect thing going on. What the hell? Right? If you say so. Okay.
By the way, guys, do join Strategic Angels. We're pretty good. But Badger Girl is also pretty good. But they don't let anyone in. But we let anyone in, so yeah. But anyway, back on topic. The Scrolls cast will be pretty casual. Like, as you noticed, I didn't talk much about the ESL and the meta, because I think for a lot of players that won't be relevant in the future. A lot of players coming in won't actually know enough or be skilled enough to properly appreciate discussions revolving around the meta. And that's already kind of covered by Heart of the Scrolls, which is a really good podcast. So this will be more focused on community events, and if you guys have tournaments or you have contests or you have any sort of community event going on, you can just give me a shout and I'll plug it and even discuss it on the stream.
Well, I don't. First of all, I don't think people in the future really care about this. They have not heard about it.
Yeah.
But I get your point. I would not say the Heart of Scrolls is like yeah. I'm not sure how to put it. Something that only covers these hardcore things or whatever. It's just that. For the most part, and it's not also it's exclusive to Badgers. It's just that we. First of all, I would say those who are in charge are not. We had some issues and we have not been able to prepare it well. So we always have issues finding members for it and finding time for it. And I'm curious if you're gonna be able to find some guys for your cast. I would not mind.
Yeah, it's gonna be like tricky, I think. But I mean, I started out this one just expecting me to talk here, but fortunately, I got you, so I'm really grateful for that.
Look, I'm up for any kind of
Commentating
or casting or whatever, as long as I am home. The issue is that the Badger cast time is when I'm not at home.
Yeah.
So I cannot do it on the train. It would be poor reception, I can guarantee you.
Yeah, and this will be like a more random thing. I don't think we're gonna have a set date for this Scrolls cast. I'm just gonna set it up whenever, and I'm gonna let other people host it whenever they want to.
All right.
So yeah.
Looking forward, see what you can come up with the whole thing.
So I'm just gonna continue to browse Reddit, see if there's anything else I need to cover. Oh yeah, Cradstash actually created a mod. Which is really impressive. He actually created a Santanog. And I'm just gonna show it off on the stream as well.
Well, he was really, in my mind, first he started with his joke that let's have a turtle for order. And then it was like, no, I want a turtle for order. Then he became so obsessed with this idea. It's like, I need a turtle for order.
It was amazing.
So he learned how to mod and made a mod so the Gal Defender could be a turtle. He's like, I did it. And then he probably thought like, but we need to go deeper.
Yes.
I can do more. And then we had
to unleash the power hidden within.
And I would not be surprised if we're gonna see more Cradstash mods in the future.
I am quite impressed. He has an actual sprite in the game, so it will move around and has its little hat.
Indeed. Do the hat like kind of have some kind of animation, or is it just static?
It's probably going to be static. Like the head and the rest of the body will move like normal, and that will be attached to it. But I think we have Kratstash in the chat, so we can ask him. No, he's not in the chat. Never mind.
Fail!
But yeah, so that's a really cool thing. You know, the members of this community are really creative, and they come up with all sorts of neat things. Let me just continue browsing. Oh yeah, we have Orangey making a new deck builder. So he wants some more ideas from people.
Yeah, that thing.
And I think that the Scrolljar deck builder is really good. Like I used to use the Scrolls Guide one, but ever since Orangey created his site, I've been using his site pretty much exclusively for everything. Creating fan scrolls, creating decks. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, same here. That's how I've been going about it. I wish I had ideas for him. I really don't. I feel like he seems to do it just fine on his own. Like what am I supposed to say here about this? This is really not my area. When I look at this whole web design thing, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's better having them on a row below instead of right. I don't mind either way.
And another thing that's been going on Reddit is this guy called Rpax, who's been creating these introductory YouTube videos to the factions of Scrolls. You have made a comment in one of those threads.
Oh yeah, that thing.
And I think the guy is actually using inaccurate information. Because I've noticed that in the growth one, he was showing off the Quake without the taxing. And yeah, like I like to see new people kind of create content, but it's using old information. So I wonder if he's like a previous veteran player who's returned.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was just so surprised by his video. I was not sure how to make a comment. I felt I needed to make a comment, but I was not sure how I was supposed to make the comment, giving him a compliment, but at the same time giving him, I don't know,
feedback.
I was just stunned that this is like the most, like, think of, you take a video, and you take a guy, and you tell a guy to make a video about something he well, not that he don't know about, it's just that he comes with some random weird suggestions and stuff that's like, this is not really accurate, like, at all. It's not that it's your own opinion, it's just, it's not at all accurate, but it's super well polished.
That
Like,
it is.
so it's like, it's really polished, inaccurate information.
Yeah, if you are out there, the guy who made this, and you're watching this, I mean, do contact, you know, either me or the Overlord. We'd be more than happy to kind of help you actually get the details right, because everything else is really good.
Especially Squiddy.
Yes.
Squiddy would totally love. I may be busy.
I'll help you out any time of the week. Another thing that happened just this week was the Judgment Gang streaming the other day, and I'm linking to it in the chat.
I actually didn't watch that, so...
It's basically like us trying to help beginners improve in Judgment. So we had Cubes with us, who is a really good Judgment player, and we had Lehupa, who is one of the best players in the game. And together we told people how to pick a good deck, how to then construct a good deck in the deck builder, and then of course how to play with that deck in a way that will lead you to 5 victories.
I need to ask you here.
Mm-hmm.
Is his name actually pronounced Lahupa?
I don't know. He's actually in the chat, so he could tell us. But
I'm just saying, I think everyone has always said Lahopa. I want to know if we always said it wrong this whole time.
I just like Lehupa. Lehupa sounds fun. It sounds like
It sounds fun, but I don't think it's supposed to be La Hoopa. But I hope it is that, so we all been wrong this whole time.
That's actually a good topic, how to pronounce the names of a lot of the big Scrolls players.
Is that a good topic?
Yes, I think it is. I mean, in your case, am I correct by saying the Overlord?
Yeah.
All right.
The Overlord.
That wasn't very hard. But we have cases like, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any weird names here, but
Do you say Blinky or Blanc?
I say Blanco.
Blanco. That sounds like a horse. If you ask.
Yeah.
Blanco sounds like a horse name.
Well, I mean, La Hoopa is saying that it's fine to pronounce him as anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I say at work too when they.
Oh yeah, how do you pronounce NRP? I say NERP.
Oh, that I just say NRP. If I never said his name by NERP, I just say I guess I would say NERP as well, but I just say NRP.
Okay. And what else has been going on in the community of Scrolls?
Isn't that the easy cash flow? It's PewQ.
Yeah, PewQ. PewQ. Like PewDiePie.
Or do you,
Only Pew.
or are you just going to say that PewQ is pronounced puke?
Puke.
Like-
Oh, that's true. Might be pronounced puke.
Puke. Puke.
Puke. But yeah.
That's what Atmas say. Atmas always say puke. It's kind
Well,
of fun.
Atmos has a channel name called Poopy Butts, so...
No, it's
Oh.
poopy butts.
Oh yeah, Poopy Butts, what else has been going on?
What the hell been going on? Well, what do you? Because I'm not sure if you really brought that up. You mentioned it, but how do you feel about the roasted bean poacher site?
Oh yes, I'm actually pretty impressed with it. When I first saw it, I thought it was written by Chaser,
Why?
because it had a really critical kind of tone to it, and Chaser has always been whining about, the Badgerati, and how all the news and stuff comes from the Badger Guild. So I thought that this was him kind of taking things in his own hands and creating his own little site.
Taking it in his own hands.
And I thought it was Chaser. I honestly thought it was Chaser. And then Ice Cream goes and says it's me, and I was like, what? Really?
Honestly, I was like, oh crap, it's ice cream. But and that's not because I don't trust ice cream. It's more that there is opinions about ice cream.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not sure if it's good that you say it's you, but all right, let's go for that. What I'm mostly impressed when it comes to that site is I'm not sure who does it, but who the hell does this daily trial
It's
guide?
Danatron.
Yeah, I'm like every single day for real, man. Like, and they say my happy new day is dedication. That is dedication.
Seriously,
But
I'm really impressed by Danatron. I mean, ever since the Daily Trials came out, I think, he's been writing guides that actually work, even for the hard trials.
I should start to write guides that don't work.
But
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
back to your question, I think that the Rosa Bean Potion is a site that we didn't actually have before. We didn't have a site dedicated to news. And that was a problem in Scrolls. As players who kind of chatting with the developers in the IRC, we kind of figured out what was going to happen, what was coming up in the next couple of days. But the majority of the players, they don't really have the time, I think, or the engagement to kind of dig deep and figure out what's happening. So they need a site like this, written by veterans, written by dedicated Scrolls players, where they can find out everything that's going on. And yeah, things like the daily trial guides help. But here's something that I think that Danatron should change. I don't think that there should be guides on the Rosa Bean Potion. I think that it should keep the guides relegated to the Reddit or the Academy thing. Because otherwise you're diluting the purpose of the site. So that's my feedback for it.
Yeah, I can also see that because we had news. It's just that we didn't have a really good site for it because it was either on Scrolls Guide or Reddit, and the issue is that they disappear
Yeah.
after time. And
It's
with
nice to
Roasted
see
Beef,
this, because like in a year from now, we'll be able to go back in the articles and figure out what the meta was like a year ago. So that's nice.
well, you can do that on Reddit. You just have to dig a bit.
Yeah, but that's a thing.
Just putting it out there. But no, I actually agree that either the daily, it should either be on a separate page on the Roasted Bean, so it's not on the front page, or it should perhaps be on another site.
Yeah, because I think having like one site for the guides, for like the help, for the information is good. Having one site for the news, really good. One site for like forums and more in-depth talk, even better. Reddit to kind of link to all these sites. And then orangey sites for fan creation and deck building. Because that way players know where to go to next. They think, okay, I want some news, I'll go to Roasted Bean Potion. I want daily trials, well, I'll go to this site which covers guides, Academy, and so on.
Indeed. Although I think Academy is perhaps not the best because Academy is supposed to have guides that are quite that can last for
Yeah,
quite a
well, they
while.
can have a section called Daily Trial Guides. These guides will refresh every day as new daily trials come in.
I'm curious how many actually visit the Academy. Uh,
Not
it,
enough, I think.
no, I just have the feeling that about 90% of people just don't give an F about it. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. I just know that, but I'm often one of these. Perhaps I don't know if I'm a majority or a minority guy when it comes to games. With that, when I play a game, I just want to get into the gameplay and start to play the meat of the game.
Yeah,
I'm not much of reading.
I think that at the moment we are both majority players. Like the experienced players are the majority players of Scroll still, even with the new influx of players.
Yeah, I was talking a bit in general when it comes to all games, as how you approach new games and so on.
Yeah. Well, let me see if there's anything else for us to bring up. Well, I can talk about what I'm kind of expecting and hoping for next year.
Yeah, that's right. You only been asking me questions. What do
Exactly.
you think?
Well, you're the guest, so that's why I'm asking you the questions first. But personally, I think that from now on,
We are doomed.
we are not doomed. We are going to see a lot more content. Like, the developers have kind of fixed the base of the game. They got the iOS version done, I think. They're just waiting for verification. They got, you know, a system to keep players in by trials. Maybe they have to add something that would keep players engaged in the multiplayer, like a daily quest system. But that's pretty minor. And other than that, I think the game feels complete. All that remains is adding scrolls to it and fixing wild. So I think that next year I would like to see developers take advantage of the test server. Like, this is something that's really been bothering me and that's been bothering a lot of players in the community.
Uh, well, I
I'll continue to explain what I mean about it. Essentially, we see only test server activity prior to the major set releases or when they are making a major balance patch. But I think they should always do something with the test server, even if it's something minor. Like, if they for some reason feel like, alright, let's test a bunch of wild ideas. You might remember this, but some time ago they posted a community post on Reddit. It was a Google document which anyone could contribute to. And I think we
mhm,
ended up with like 30 wild ideas.
yep.
But we have only tested 2 wild ideas, I think. Wild as one of every resource you get, or wild as double every other resource in your deck.
I believe so. I'm trying to think if there was a third early on, but I don't think so. I
I
think
think
it's
I
the
think that
double.
was really it. And I mean, when you have like 30 submissions coming in, and let's say that 20 of them were bad, so let's say 10 of them were decent. They've still only done
There's
two.
bad that there's reason.
Yeah, I'm trying to be as pessimistic as possible here, but then they've only done 2 out of 10 possibilities, 10 possible ways to fix Wild. And that's something where I think they've dropped the ball.
Oh yeah. I was about to say I overall, except for maybe that last bit you were talking about here, is that overall I disagree with you.
Okay, that's fine.
In in that I don't think the game is pretty much fixed now, and we just need some more content. So on. No, we have there's several things that need to be addressed, and that is like. It's why I honestly, earlier on this autumn, when I heard that Scrolls is going to be released at the later part of this year, I sort of flipped out, and not in being angry, but just being like, I disapprove.
Yeah.
In that, I always defended Mojang in the sense of they do a bunch of ideas, and
Yeah.
they just pile up all these issues. But I assume that they just want to test these ideas, see what works, and then they will polish it. But apparently, instead, they pile up a bunch of ideas, and then they do not polish it, and they release the game.
Yeah.
That is where I didn't approve. In that case, I felt like no. In that case, like cut away half of the ideas and polish the other half. Do something like that. Don't come and with it. And yes, Wild is one of them, but there's more in the game, and I'm not gonna go on some kind of depressing rant or something about that. I'm just saying that I didn't like the approach they had. That they threw out a bunch of ideas, and it seems like they never had a real plan to address them again. That is what I mostly disapprove. But as I said earlier here in the cast, we cannot rewind time.
We cannot. We have to look forward.
Yeah, so even though I am also, like many in the community, I am also not always happy about what is happening. It's only better for the game if I try to help to improve on what we have, instead of saying what was badly done in the past.
I'm done ranting and raging. That's why I created that rant thread on Reddit. Like, I just want to look forward to the future now and give them more suggestions and ideas in order to hopefully give them something that they can make use of and that will improve the game. So I still want the developers to tell us what their vision is, like very clearly and detailed.
I'm pretty sure they don't have a clear vision. I think they have a bunch of ideas, and then the idea they feel most for, they sort of put in. They of course they have probably a general plan, and apparently we're gonna get some kind of roadmap.
Yeah.
And that is like the general plan. Like, maybe there's 2 sets coming, and hopefully the campaign coming this year, and so on. And maybe they have some kind of, I don't know. They had this whole Warzone thing going on.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Oh, and that do not surprise me. And I think most people forgot about Warzone.
I actually need to look it up. Was that even coming this year?
No, they said it. They even specifically said it's not. Probably not coming this year. It's something they have in the planning. I don't know. People maybe feel like Warzone is cool. I feel like it's. I don't find the idea that appealing. But
basically, all it says is Warzone mode, where you'll get to face off against other players' AI-controlled decks. I mean, I don't think that's the whole picture. Like, it looks like they're almost hinting at a sort of deeper gameplay with that. And that's just how you play it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen any more details than anyone else, but in that sentence, what it tells me, and I'm just going from that sentence, what do I know exactly what this is supposed to be? For me, it sounds like you customize a deck, tell the AI, this is the deck you're going to play with, and then people can, like, click this mode and they
Yeah.
get one of these decks and face it. So I'm like, so this is battling against AI, but you don't face the same deck all the
All right.
time. I mean, that's nice and all, but I'm not sure I would put that as a high priority.
See, because when I read that sentence, I get like this kind of campaign-like almost mode where you have a bunch of territories, and then you control territories. And when you're not around in the computer to play, your AI takes over. And then it will fight for you. And then towards the ends of every season, you will win gold or new heads. And it will become, Risk, the board game. It will be kind of like that, only you play games instead of rolling the dice in order to expand your territories.
Yeah, I mean,
Does that sound exciting to you?
that sounds like a different game. And I mean, yeah, I guess I would play that a bit, but I feel like that is not really Scrolls.
That's the
okay.
thing. They have so much they can actually do, just that idea of an AI controlling a deck for you. There's so much they can do there, so it might just be what you said. Just a simple alternative AI mode.
I said this when it comes to AI. I said this to them several times. I don't care about their sophisticated AI, hive mind, whatever that decides what they do. Just hard lock the AI. Tell these AIs just hard lock. Don't make it calculated. It's just a 100%. This is the rule. Spearmans are in the front.
Yes, there is a lot of stuff like that.
Like, don't put the goddamn spearmen in the back. They always do that. I'm like, why does it always do that?
Maybe it'll eventually learn. Just keep punishing the AI whenever it does that, and it might learn to not do that.
It would be funny. I don't know if you're familiar with fighting games, but fighting games has this. I don't remember what exactly they call it, but it's some kind of ghost or whatever it learns from the moves you are doing and they copy that moves.
I don't know if you play Super Smash Bros, but that's exactly how amiibos work.
Yeah, and I played some Super Smash, and I don't think it would ever happen. Because you're saying it would be kind of hardcore if they made the AI start to adapt to what the opponent is.
Imagine if you buy these plushies and you bring them home and then you scan them and then they show up in the game and then they control your decks and then they win gold.
Imagine being able to customize your avatar on the level of like a BioWare RPG.
Oh wow,
something.
that sounds really cool.
Or even like Mountain Blade or something where you can decide the size of the eyebrows and so on.
By the way, there are currently 450 people in the game, which I think is pretty neat. It kind of shows that
it's not over.
Yeah, it's not over. We still have. Stop being so depressing. Come on. This was meant to be a podcast looking towards the future and all of that.
Well, it ain't over.
But yeah, I'll just continue and wrap it up soon. I'm also. You mentioned we're probably going to see 2 sets in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
We are probably going to see a Scrolls contest.
Oh yeah, they said they want to keep that tradition going.
Yep. I'm not sure if I can actually say this. Just let me...
What, is it part of that Wings cult of yours?
No, this is something that I have snapped up and I might not be able to say it, so I'm just gonna read and see if they've actually mentioned it on the Scrolls site. Oh yes, okay, I can talk about this a little bit. They've mentioned on Scrolls.com there is a pre-constructed deck competition coming up.
Oh yeah, that one.
Because we didn't have any Waypoints deck in the store when Waypoints released. So they're saying here that you should start thinking about ideas for a Waypoints themed deck for each faction. So that's a contest coming up.
I'm just feeling, are we going to revamp the pre-constructed every set? Because that sounds like a big hassle.
Well, I think it's a good idea to add new decks that will show off these cards. And by doing it as a contest, people will essentially feel more engaged. They need to do more things to bring the community in, because I think that's what is Scrawl's just biggest bullet point. Unlike other TCGs, in this game, the community decides what happens. We add what we come like taxing. That's pretty much a community idea.
It's pretty much a Squiddy idea.
Yes, but I mean that wouldn't really happen in other games.
No.
We have 2 contests already that have produced, how many cards is it now? 8?
Yes, it's 8.
So 8 cards are thanks to the community. We're gonna have like a bunch of decks coming up, made by the community. And next year we're gonna have another 8 cards coming in the form of Scrolls contests.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that I haven't seen mentioned in any review. That Scrolls is just really community focused. They care about what their consumers want in the game, and they are actively talking with them to ensure that they get what they want.
Oh yeah, well, that would mean they follow the community. I'm not surprised that no reviewer is following the Scrolls community.
Yeah, that is a problem. I think that the Scrolls.com site need to highlight the community more.
I guess.
Like honestly, if in the About section on Scrolls.com it said your game, and it said in Scrolls we have community contests where you design a scroll and that scroll is added to the game, a lot of people would love that.
I do not oppose that. I'm just.
Like, put that in, make use of that.
I just think. I'm curious. Maybe one should give some little details about that, because maybe people should know that it's like 0.1% that your scroll is going to be taken. So it's a pretty low chance. That do, however, remind me. I think you were planning to wrap it up, but I'm gonna screw it over.
Go
here.
ahead. This doesn't matter.
One of the things I really do wish to see more of in the future for Scrolls is that I see more stuff that Scrolls can do that makes it unique in interaction with the cards. And one of the things, like for example, that people have asked for a long time is this whole idea of tile enchantments. We wanted some kind of tile enchantments, and I look, I would love to see, and I don't see. I can see tile enchantment might be a bit tricky, but I don't see why. Is it really that difficult to make something that takes more than 1 hex? That you move it, maybe it takes like 2 hex, the unit and so on.
Well, the problem with that is because of the way the board is formed. So, if something is taking up 2 hexes, which 2 hexes would it take up? You know what I mean? Because it's not a square board. It's all hexagonal.
Yeah, but that I don't really see. Well, I'm not sure how they have programmed it, but I don't see that an issue. If you cannot move to a place because the hex do not allow you, then you cannot move there. It's the same like if you have your 1 hex units on the board and you cannot move because a hex is not there, you cannot move there.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see some Scrolls having that sort of design.
And then I think there's more stuff. As I've tried to, I think I've given this in all the previous design competition, and I'm gonna keep on giving the proposition because I want to see more stuff done with the countdown reduction. I really feel like, for example, one of the main thing I like to see is this whole that having scrolls that do different things depending on what countdown they are on.
Oh yes, that would be really cool.
And so that is also one of those things. So that is what I really like to see. If we're gonna go back to the what do I hope to see in the future, I'm not sure if I'm expecting to see it, but I hope to see more of these unique interaction that can only really be done in scrolls.
I actually remember you posting that. I think it was a tree of life or something.
Tree of Seasons.
Yeah, and it has like a different season and a different effect for each one of them, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. I've been talking to the devs a lot, and one of the things that is possible in the game is to put an ability button on a lingering spell.
I remember you were
So I
talking.
mean, there's a lot of kind of mechanics that are we are capable of having in the game that they haven't actually added yet. Like there's a lot of potential to kind of explore new ways of playing the game. But I think the next set is going to focus more on the existing traits and old traits. Like
What make you think so?
because I vaguely recall there being a post about that.
All right.
I might have secret sources, but I think the next set will focus more on stuff before waypoints. And then the set after that could be anything.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah.
we will have to.
We'll have to see.
See about that.
But I think that with that we can wrap up this. By the way, one final thing. We don't actually have a name for this thing. Like I called it Scrollscast, but apparently Smogan has a thing called Scrollscast.
What he has? Since when?
No, he has a casting series.
Oh, is that called Scrollscast?
It apparently is. I'm just gonna check.
It probably is. It's just that I like never watch this YouTube content. Like I'm one of those guys. I'm sorry, people, but I find Scrolls extremely boring to watch. I'm not. I'm not one of those guys that really find it that interesting to watch Scrolls.
Yeah.
It comes back to this whole thing I said with how there's lack of animations for the cards and sounds and that stuff. Like it's not that exciting. But
Well, that's fine. Some people prefer just different things.
yeah. Anyway, okay.
So
Well,
yeah, so we need a new name, and basically, I figured that you people could decide a name.
right here, right now, this Twitch chat.
This
You have
Twitch
been
chat.
chosen.
You have been chosen. Right now, I'm going with Scrolls chats because these are basically more like chats, random chats.
Okay.
Is that good? Is that bad?
Uh, I don't think it makes sense.
Okay, that's fine.
Scroll chat. That sounds like text based.
All
This
right.
is
Well,
this is not.
I mean, initially I called this the Squiddycast, but I figured that's pretty almost weird because I'm not probably gonna do all of these. And Creeping Ninja is saying Wingscast, but I didn't want this to be a Strategic Angels thing, so that's out of the question.
By the way, apparently they have a wings cast, but only among themselves. It's some
Oh
kind
yes,
of.
it's a secret thing.
I guess it's their weekly kind of. You know how the politicians just gather their parties and
Yes,
then they have
it's
their
like that.
meeting and this is our plan for the coming year.
We have those, that's true. But yeah, I mean, guys, come up with any ideas. We're probably gonna call it an end anyway, and you can post it in the thread, which I'm gonna link to. So take a look at that. In the meantime, I'm gonna plug some things because, yeah, I'm actually running this thing now. And I'm gonna let you plug some things as well, Overlord, don't worry. Some of you guys might have heard about this, but I have created a fan resource called Chaos.
Oh my god.
Have you heard of this thing, Overlord?
No, I have never heard about it. Please enlighten me.
Well, basically, I think that this game needs 5 factions.
Mm-hmm.
Just like this, all the other popular TCGs like MTG or Hex. By using 5, you can balance them and stuff. So yeah, 5 of them is good. And I've come up with like 90 new cards, new mechanics, new unit types, subtypes, stuff. Actually, this is really interesting, by the way. I came up with lingering spells.
Is that so?
It is, because I
Alright.
had it in my very first Chaos post, which was like posted November 18th, 2013. And I call them board spells.
Well, look, I don't want to like ruin people's day. And same thing when it came to Mojang, when Mojang were like, we're gonna introduce in Waypoint, people, be ready for this, lingering. And I'm like, dude, this is a spell that just lasts for a while.
Yeah.
It's not that original, but alright. It's basically, it's Horn of Ages fused with
Yeah, I mean,
Total
that's the thing.
Resistance.
There were a lot of these spells in the game already that lasted for more than one turn. But it just ended at your opponent's turn. So they had basically linger 1.
Yeah, so... Alright, well, congratulations for
Thank
coming
you.
up with the lingering.
But I mean, so that's my little selfish plug. Do you have anything you'd like to plug, the Overlord?
I like to plug Sweden for being total nutcases when it comes to our government. I do
Oh yes, we have
appreciate.
government stuff going on at the moment.
Yeah, I do appreciate. Do you live in Sweden?
Yes, I do.
Oh my god. Hej på dig.
Hejsan på dig.
Anyway, so I do appreciate if the whole world could like tweet to our politicians and say to get the shit together.
Yeah, I'm not sure if our audience has that reach. We have 14 viewers at the moment.
Dude, I read how one lady in like Australia like tweeted, "I ride with you," and it became a phenomenon. We could do this too.
Okay, let's invent something. Plug Sweden. So use that hashtag to complain about Swedish government. There you go.
Hashtag plug Sweden. Hashtag get your shit together.
Yes, that's really good. So guys, tweet this. And maybe our 15 Scrollers will make a change. So that's all for me and the Overlord with this week's Scrolls name pending. Goodbye.